All right. Let's get this out of the way first. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast are solely those of the speakers, guests, and host, and do not in any way represent the thoughts or views or opinions of any other employer, partnership, or sponsor. The material and information in this podcast is for general information purposes only and should be used at the listener's discretion. Redo the whole thing. We're going to think happy. We're going to think positive moving forward. We're going to think encouraging.
Hey, guys.
Angie.
All right, that's fine.
So be someone else for the next 25 minutes.
Be approachable. Got it. All right.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
guys. Welcome back to Tailboard Talks Firefighter podcast. You're here with Chris and Angie in Chris's garage. I am enjoying a very hot pike roast at 86 degrees.
Yeah, 75% humidity.
Oh, yeah. Feels great. Today, we're going to be talking about a couple things. We're going to touch base on a few things like the new general order that Chicago came out on.
Yep.
That's been rolling around the social medias a lot of opinions on that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about that.
And we all know after the last episode, Angie's got opinions.
Oh, yes.
Because, man, did the algorithm deliver after that thing came out. I feel like I was flooded.
With pumper princesses?
Oh, jeez. To name one. Angie, again, just throwing names out there of people she hates. But, yeah, I was flooded with, how do we even categorize them? Female fire influencers?
Yeah, female fire influencers.
Bunch of get ready with me's.
It, literally, it did. It really did all pop
Dude.
up. Go through, honestly, the Explore page, it's filled.
Yeah.
Filled.
It was discouraging because then I realized how many there were. And then we started sending them to each other. I was like, good Lord, is this the same person? Nope, brand new one.
Yep.
Now we did get some words of encouragement off that.
Yeah,
There was a handful of people that reached out and they were like, totally in agreement with all the mean things you were saying about these innocent people just trying to make a living and a name for themselves.
Honestly,
so it's nice to hear.
I just think that, and maybe it's me being a little bit more harsh just because in general, I'm just annoyed at the fact that our society is so absorbed in recording their life.
Okay.
And I think maybe a lot of that anger kind of went into that case because, I mean.
Some of it jealousy?
Jealousy?
Yeah. You're
No.
like, I wish I was comfortable enough to record my life. And
No.
Okay.
I think that.
Mine is.
No.
Okay.
Mine is not.
Okay. Envy.
It's the absorbency of social media where I feel like no one is just in the moment anymore. And it's it's not just the female firefighter influencers. It's me, right? Your mid-range gym goer who wants to post every workout they do, even if you're not a competitor, some elite athlete. It's everybody. Everybody's doing it.
But I'm okay with those
Everyone's
people
doing
because they're typically not selling anything. They're
No.
just having a good time.
No, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's the the obsessive part about it.
Oh, okay.
It's when it's everything is like that.
Sure. Yeah, I would say where it crosses the line for me is when there's a click the link in my bio for X,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Whatever they're selling.
There's a crossover point from enthusiasts having a good time, showing off they're happy they're doing something.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And then I'm trying to sell you something
Yeah.
with this front of being a happy person.
I'm just frustrated with this world.
I know. But now I forgot to write something down here. We didn't talk about it before, so I'm going to ambush you with this topic. But I saw a video of someone in full gear doing a workout, and it was a tip on a movement. And they had a weight vest on. Mm-hmm. And they were showing a leg-assisted pull-up. And they said, next time you're struggling with your pull-ups, use this variation in your next workout.
What?
So,
It makes no sense.
So my first thought was what would make that pull-up easier? Ditching the crap you're wearing. Ditching the 30-pound vest and the gear.
Can't do a pull-up, put 80 more pounds on you, and you should definitely do a pull-up.
And do a variation of a pull-up.
No, that doesn't
And somebody
make
did
sense.
respond, and they said, yeah, but weighted ring rows are a thing. I said, they are. They're their own thing. This is not that.
No.
This is someone trying to do a movement they can't necessarily do with that much weight on, so they're adjusting the movement.
Right.
When they would probably get more benefit by ditching the weight and just doing the movement. Yeah.
Yes.
Because anytime you try to scale or replicate, it can get close, but it's never going to be exactly the same as the movement you're trying to replicate.
Yeah.
So I'd have even no problem, and I do this with my clients. We do use leg-assisted pull-ups, but it's on a tempo.
Right.
Where it would be so difficult to do normally.
Right.
I would say do a 3 0 to tempo for your leg assisted pull-ups, and we kind of go through the working of that. So it's a thing.
Yeah.
But using leg assisted pull-ups to help you with your weighted movement is not a thing.
No.
It is a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. Right?
My brain exploded when I saw that. I was like,
awesome.
wait, what?
It's pretty awesome. Now, we had a little bit of a hiccup with the confessions this week.
Just a little bit.
But good news, I came prepared. You're going to be confessing things today, Angie.
Fantastic.
So I have a question, I bring this up at the table frequently because I have my own that I will not be sharing today because
He'll get in trouble.
People do still listen to this, and I don't want to do these things. Okay, there's some things that I will not do at the firehouse, and they're duties. Not talking about duty, which you had a comment on, but I'm talking about things or tasks to be done at the firehouse.
Okay.
No. For instance, at the department I used to work for, we had to wash and fold towels. But you had to do them up on the second floor, like next to the bunk room, and it was a thing. And early on, I was like, well, I'm never doing that. And I somehow never folded towels. Like, I always got out of it. I always ignored it. Mm-hmm. I would put it off on somebody else. Just never did it, right? For the 5 years I was there, I was like, I'm just not doing that. There are some things that now, in the department I've been a part of for like 17 years or 16 years, that I still haven't done. I've been able to get out of, work around, and there's only like 2 or 3 things, but early on I was like, I'm never doing that. It's just not for me. And it's a completely reasonable task.
It's just some simple chore.
Literally nothing. But I was like, I got to take a stand somewhere, and that's where it is.
But do you do it at home?
I don't have that need isn't there.
Okay, this type of chore is not there.
That need isn't there.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, Angie, is there anything in your job, in your department, that you just said, you know what, somebody else can do that. I'm just not doing that.
So I can't honestly say that I don't do something. I will do everything, except I will tiptoe my way around mopping.
Okay.
So I always feel like
I'm imagining you're like literally tiptoeing around it.
It's funny because I am always sorry, there was a bug on my arm. I'm always the mopper usually on my shift. I'm usually always the one who grabs the mop, which that came from like a post I did long before on our podcast when I asked if there was like, what do you avoid to do with chores after dinner? Like, is it dishes? Like, I asked that. And the reason why I asked that was because I feel like everyone around me avoids mopping. And so I always end up being the mopper. So I'll like tiptoe my way around. I'll like start with the dishes, and then I'll like bounce to the like cleaning the surfaces to see if like someone's going to go get the mop, because as soon as someone gets that mop, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I'm not mopping.
Do you, in your routine, do you vacuum or sweep before you mop?
We sweep. We sweep before we mop.
That's always a way to get out of mopping.
To do the sweeping?
Yeah.
I think, but that's so dumb.
I'm just telling you.
To me, you're a blister. I just learned that today.
Let me just tell you.
Or the other day.
That's literally, the work is going on. Let me tell you, though. We switched to vacuuming at some of our stations instead of sweeping.
Do you have a hard floor?
Tiles, yeah.
Oh, you have tiles? Okay.
Vacuuming is strange. Feels strange at first. You're vacuuming at night in the kitchen.
But it works really well.
So much better than sweeping.
Yeah, it works really well. We have a Roomba at one of the stations.
But that would be the key, is if you don't want to. So there's two placeholder assignments you can do at night. Take out the trash, and you're gone for 7 to 12 minutes at a time. You can forget, I forgot the recycling. I have to go back for that. And then that takes up a majority of the cleaning time, right? Or while everybody's cleaning, you go and grab the broom or the vacuum, and you just stand there like a...
This sounds really bad.
like a wart.
And I don't...
Until it's your turn. And by the time it's time to sweep, the 4 people who've been doing stuff are freed up to go get the mop. So you do your sweep, and then you're out of there.
So this sounds bad, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm calling them lazy. But there are certain chores that people pick that I automatically go, you're lazy.
Yeah, they're actually...
Sweeping, actually, is the first one. Because if you decide to not do anything but just the quick sweep, to me, I'm like, you're lazy.
Yeah.
Or if you just pick up the garbage, you're lazy.
I wish you would have known how much work goes into that.
Like,
I'm actually the hardest worker in the station because of the amount of avoiding it has to be done.
I guess because that's real hard work.
Just to get to the broom.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
You'd
because
be
I'll be like, at least if I'm doing the dishes and then I get the countertops, like, that's not lazy. But if I'm like, I'll just get the garbage and the recycling, to me it's like, you just want to do the easiest job.
Now I'll tell you what, all these things we're talking about are acceptable practices, though. You know what's not?
What?
The 6:45 phone call.
Yes.
That one is
to get out of all of the chores.
If someone grabs the broom or the vacuum or takes the garbage, I'm like, I know what you're doing, but it's part of the game. I'm down. The person who always gets the phone call at 7 o'clock, 7:30, right after dinner.
Yeah.
We all know what you're doing, and it's also like,
damn,
it's just one
I've
step
been that
below.
person, but not on purpose before, only because of
That's
Ben's
what they all
schedule.
say. Yeah, that's
no,
what
well,
they-
Ben's schedule, he wakes up at that time.
That sounds
and then
like
he'll
something
call
that
me.
someone like that would say,
Well,
right?
whatever.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad you can admit that. That's our confessions for this week. Now, if you have a confession, now listen, they don't have to be scandalous like the guy who rubbed his wiener on a bookcase and gave it to Angie. They can be funny like this, too. So we're going to keep soliciting confessions because we want to hear them from you guys. And, yes, they stay anonymous, except for this week when we found out Angie's flaws. But it's a fun little thing that we can do. So send in your confessions when you see the prompts on Instagram, and we'll get some more of those. You want to talk about Chicago?
Yeah.
What are we, like 10 minutes in here?
Yeah,
Getting the meat
probably.
and potatoes of this thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so what did you see? Because I saw it pretty early on. I picked it up. I commented on it on someone's page. And then actually a couple strangers from that thing I commented on responded back to me with some more information. So
Oh, okay. So,
what are you seeing?
well, I've obviously saw it through people posting that general order about Chicago only going defensive on non-high-rise fires unless there is like a...
Until
I'm sorry, until somebody says that there are victims in the home or they can visually see people in the home that are trapped.
Yeah.
And now I'm very inexperienced when it comes to fires. I've only been in this for 5 years. You've been to a lot of fires.
Oh, countless.
Countless. I could probably count, and if I were to ballpark, like maybe
I mean, a couple
20
of
to
years.
30.
Yeah.
Like 20 to 30 maybe, and that's not even counting like true like raging fires. Like that's like even
Sure.
just going mutual aid and like, you know, pulling ceiling or
Hanging
something.
out.
You know, like hanging out, whatever. And so I can say with my experience, I know how it feels, and I know how I have felt in situations before when I know we should not have been in an offensive tactic.
Okay.
But I also am not knowledgeable enough and know enough or have the experience enough to say whether or not this holds any value, I guess.
Sure.
I personally, on the blue shirt, early firefighter side, I don't agree with it, obviously, because of multiple reasons. One including that people who commit arson, you cannot say for sure there's no one inside. Who knows if this person's trying to kill somebody? Who knows if that person did kill somebody and they're trying to light everything on fire on the inside? I think about things like that. The fact that people act on emotion. There could be people still in the house, even though that people have said that there's not people in the house, or that everyone is out. I know people aren't thinking right during those times.
Yeah.
And that's something I think the public doesn't understand either sometimes when, you know, parents come out and everyone's like, well, how did they not grab the kids? And it's like, you're not all there when scary situations like that happen, that it turns off for a little bit. And so there's
people do
those
silly
reasons,
stuff.
but also, you know, we're supposed to be preserving and protecting property too. And so I'm not sure how much I agree on it, because if you have extension, like if you have a fire that's starting to extend to the house or extending inside the house to an attic space or something, like you have to take offensive tactics on
You can, just from the outside.
for this order.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. Why did this come about? Why did this happen? Is this the deaths?
So that's the
is
bigger
this because
thing.
of the deaths, or what is
Yeah.
going on?
So that to me is the bigger question, is like, what is spurring this massive shift, right? Now on the operational side, I don't know how much of a massive shift it is, except for that now it's written down and people can look at it and not like it, right? So before, I'm sure it was status quo to do an offensive attack and put people inside regardless and assume that there's victims always and do that stuff, right? Now they're just saying, unless you really think there is someone or you have a reason to believe someone is there, just wait until the battalion chief shows up so he can run the outside and put you guys inside. This whole thing to me stinks of a lack of trust and leadership and a lot of fear from the upper regiment, the upper ranks here, that they're scared that they don't trust their guys enough to go to a fire and not screw up royally and hurt more people. I think it does come from a couple line of duty deaths a couple of years ago. I think it comes from just probably like we've had out here in the suburbs, a massive amount of retirements and promotions and hirings. There was a particular part in that, or in the directive or the policy or whatever it was, where it talked about staying calm and professional and not letting the situation dictate your actions and not letting the public sway your actions in terms of emotion. And that to me speaks to, like, we got these people out here who are just running crazy and are getting emotionally overwhelmed and making terrible decisions. So we need to keep them out of the building until an adult gets there and tells them what to do.
So there's probably like a way bigger picture going on than what everyone is just seeing this bigger
picture.
Like there's something
thousands
like
of
we
people
that people aren't hearing or seeing.
Yeah, this is a department with thousands of people.
Right, which is again confusing, right? Because I know you're saying like they're left with that one person, but doesn't like 50 people show up on
quickly.
fire? Like,
so that's why it's also
like
that's why it's also not that big of. I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? Chicago and large cities like that literally put fires out by smothering them with blue pants. Like, there's so many people showing up that every one of them could step on a piece of the fire and put it out. Massive amounts of response as opposed to us, right? So if you look at the speed that a battalion chief can get there, how quickly other companies are going to get there, the fact that you can perform a transitional attack or an exterior attack now and it's deemed like a scientifically proven thing to actually help the situation, and you have the massive out of having a reasonable suspicion that someone's inside gives you the green light. That can be so many things. I mean, the common thing that we always talk about in our assessment center and our drills and everything is like, is there a car in the driveway? Are there toys in the yard? Is it a multifamily residence? Any one of those things can be leveraged to put you inside that house with a suspicion that someone's home. Is the front door open and nobody's out front there to meet you?
Right.
Are there windows open? Are there lights on inside and no one's out front to meet you? Right? That gray area is massive. Massive gray area. And all it takes is you go in the neighborhood and be like, do people live in this house? Yes. Where are they? Oh, I don't know. Well, I think they're inside. So I'm not sure how much operationally it matters. What it does do is it brings out the heroes out of the woodwork that want to be like, this is wrong and this is terrible and this is going to kill people. I understand the union said that, and I understand what they're saying. The people that are on Facebook talking about, I'll take the write-up and I'm going to frame it and I'm a badass fire sergeant, you can't make me go defensive, those people are not the voice of the union.
Right.
Those are just chest thumpers that want to seem like they're pretty cool. And I guarantee they would not be taking the write-up. They'd be making the hydrant.
Oh, yeah,
while
for
50
sure.
other people showed up.
Right.
So that's my take on it. And I don't know if it's a major transition period in the Chicago Fire Department or what, but I hope, sincerely, whatever needs to be done, training, accountability, leadership, reassurance, maybe they just need a few fires to go well,
right. Right.
That this softens or becomes more reasonable appearing, even though I'm not sure how much it actually affects anything.
Yeah, I know. Like, obviously, for the order, like the general order, it looks bad, right? That looks bad, especially as firefighters read that, because now everyone's like, are you kidding? But again, it is a piece of paper. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen at every fire, right? Because they can make decisions there.
Yeah.
They can deviate, make decisions, and have a reason why they are doing that. So I don't think that it'll necessarily mean that every fire truly is going to end up like that.
Right.
And maybe, like you said, there has to be a lot of changes with emotion there, how they're at, because that's just going to drive them into failure with everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
agree.
most departments have some version of this already.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
we
for
have
sure.
It.
Yeah.
We have it where you're supposed to have, we do 2 in, 2 out, but in a very measured and smart application of it where you have to justify by saying there's a reasonable expectation of life being in there that you can go in without an IRIC team outside. And we have stipulations on who's our IRIC team and all that stuff, but most departments have this stipulation already. This is just a large body doing it with rules that fit their department.
Right.
That don't fit most other departments.
Right.
So for them, it's probably completely appropriate given what's happened in the past few years and the scrutiny they're under with OSHA and the fines they're getting. It just looks weird from outside that fishbowl because we're not living in their ecosystem.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Now on a lighter note,
Yeah.
you reposted a letter from a local department that really made you happy.
It did make me happy.
So go ahead and let's break into that one now. Let's get off the speculation talk about a massive department in our area that carries a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And on to a smaller department.
Yeah, smaller department.
And things that you like to see.
Yeah. So, and can I say the name?
No.
Okay, I won't say the name. There is a local department more close to where I live that I actually had interviewed for too, like years and years and years ago, and interviewed with who the chief is right now, because he was not the chief at that time. However, really great guy.
I got to tell you, that was a lot of backstory.
I know, I'm sorry.
Get
over it though, okay? Really great guy. This is all my point.
Okay.
This is my point. He's a really great guy. And recently in our county, we had, I think it was like 2 or 3 fatals within 24 hours that department responded to.
Yeah, I listed them off in the letter. It seemed like a real bad week.
Yeah,
like a long
that
stretch
area,
of events.
they always get bad stuff over there, honestly. And it was this really awesome letter from their chief, basically asking the county to be careful while they're driving. It addressed the families, how he was sorry for the loss and sorry that all this was happening, but also he addressed all the responders that were the ones who to go to these accidents. And I thought that was honestly probably the coolest thing, because when the public doesn't understand, the public views the families with the loss, and they absolutely deserve all the thoughts and prayers and things like that, and they deserve all of what the public attention goes to. But a lot of people do forget about first responders who respond to these calls, and that we too are human. We are all equals to the people out there seeing these things happen. We're not any different. We still carry emotions. We still carry a lot of stuff. It's still stuff that we have to see and deal with too. And he addressed that and kind of like, I wouldn't say educated the public, but like let the public know that.
Made them aware, yeah.
Made them aware that our first responders are also going through a loss as well, because it's heavy. It's a heavy loss on first responders, especially when it involves an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that you don't see a lot of that. You don't see chiefs really address or do a letter like that to the public. Usually it's always about just the public. It's really never about the workers. And you can tell that he is just a chief who really cares about the people who work for him. And I don't know. I really liked it.
It was very good. And it's a tricky one to do, because you don't want to like martyr yourself as a first responder, right? Or martyr your department and be like, we're taking on too much. This job's too tough. We're getting burnt out. We can't handle it, kind of thing. You want to cross the line into martyrdom, right? But in the public's eye, just remember that like the fire department is just one vague thing out there.
Right.
One strange entity out there where you work, people probably ask you like, do you work? They're probably confused the community you work in versus the one next to it frequently. And be like, oh, it's not all the same department. I thought that was just one big department. And same thing for us here is like we get confused with the surrounding departments all the time just because we're so tight to everyone, and we're a larger one and other ones are smaller. We interact a lot. But you hear about these accidents, you're like, oh, a crash happened over there. Who went to it? Well, the fire department did. And like over here, like, oh, the fire department did. It's just one big blob of people in blue.
Right, exactly.
Responding to stuff. So to kind of quantify it is like, this department and this next one next to us handled these 5 incidents this week, and it's a lot to take in, and we're happy to do it, but here's what we did. It brings it to like, oh crap, it's not just this weird universal fire department. I'm like, my community had these losses, and then these people from my community were involved in those losses. It was a really tricky way to educate people, but I think he did a really good job in it, and he pointed to his surrounding departments, to the agreements they have with mutual aid and the assistance they give each other, and the professionalism and their ability to run these 5 massive calls. and still remain a resilient department and continue to respond and blah, blah, blah. So I think it was a great job. And I think a lot of times we have those communications internally, and it makes everybody feel good when the chief sends a letter internally to the membership and says, good job, or great stop, or whatever, or tough week, good job. But it does mean a little bit extra when that gets outside of our
emails
and goes to somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think you're right to identify that and post as a positive thing, because it doesn't happen often.
No.
And you can't do it all the time. You can't be like, another tough week.
Yeah, I know. I know. Because, I mean, in reality, like, we go to tough calls all the time.
Yeah, but this was a special set of calls in succession
Yeah.
that deserved a little bit of acknowledgement all around.
Absolutely.
I think that was a great move. So recognizing when that can happen and recognizing when to pat someone on the back and go outside of your sphere with it, I think is a really incredible skill.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for doing
Absolutely.
that.
On top of that, I would like to just add, too, it was really cool over Father's Day to see how many departments actually posted their own employees.
Yeah.
Instead of just your generic, like, banner, Happy Father's Day to everybody. Yeah, exactly. And so I thought, when I was scrolling through, I saw a lot of departments actually have and post pictures of their own employees and wish them a happy Father's Day. And I just thought that was really cool. You know, it's really cool when the upper admin can do that for the people underneath.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just thought that was cool. So on top of the letter of, it all kind of coincides with each other. Things like that, just being recognized
on a personable level.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Ange, this is your most hated type of episode. Because we rambled.
Stay tuned for the commercials.
Because we rambled.
Yeah, we did ramble.
But it was all good stuff, man. This is what this is supposed to be.
Yeah,
so.
It is. It is for sure.
Good.
Frontline Optics.
Yep. Big sale right now. Big sale.
Buy two, get, what is it?
Buy two, get one free.
Yeah,
Frontline
buy two,
Optics.
get one free. That one really doesn't matter, I guess, if you use our code or not.
We're giving them a better deal. We're making you aware of a better deal than our code.
Yes.
Now, if you want to bypass that deal, if you just want one pair, you can always use the code Tailboard and get 15% off. Totally cool and appreciated. But might as well get a couple pairs because you get one free. But keep that in mind. If you want to get a pair of glasses from Frontline Optics and you want a pair of glasses that are nice and awesome and have a replacement program, then use code Tailboard for 15% off. Rescue One CBD is also having major sales.
Oh, yeah.
Major big-time sales coming up for 4th of July and stuff like that. They also have a new product being released very soon. The Tailboard pillows, possibly.
No, Tailboard tins.
Tailboard tins, possibly.
So much better.
Check out Rescue One CBD and use code Tailboard for that. Angie also set up a Buy Me a Coffee button in the show notes and on the website, the 4th Shift Firefighter website. And we'll post that a few times. She basically just wants coffee money. So it's a way you can go click on it and give in increments of $3.
Yep. Thanks, Roy.
Yeah, thanks, Roy. Thanks, Roy, for the coffee that we're actually having right now. So feel free to do that. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out. Respond to our confessions questions, please.
Yeah, that would be great. And
Angie
it doesn't
is
have to
super
be
nosy.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
But the crazier the better.
Just funny. The crazier the better.
Angie will ask you tons of follow-up questions about your most embarrassing, deepest, darkest moments on the job.
I love it. Spill the tea.
Okay. Sign us out with the tagline. Nailed it.